Coming up on OTH, Raymond and I get a little sidetracked at the start of the episode before we cover the patch 11.7 preview. Then, I spell out all of my thoughts about the newest League of Legends Wild Rift mobile game, and then end up revealing my true colors with my pick of the week. Lastly, we round up this episode discussing the loser bracket games of the mid-season showdown before previewing the bid matches coming up next week. We hope you enjoy episode 9 of On the Hunt. Welcome everybody to episode 9 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I'm your co-host Chris, aka Spaghetti and Meatballs, because my arms are as thin as noodles, dude. And then I don't need to explain what meatballs are. The part of my body.
Yeah.
And joining me on every episode is our other co-host, Raymond. What's going on, man?
Hey guys, how's it going? I don't know what food thing I can be to compliment that. I think I'm really just gonna let your meatballs hang there for a little bit.
Yeah, maybe you can just be a wiener. Have you ever seen that movie Accepted with like Justin Long?
Accepted? No, I thought you were gonna go with Sausage Party on that one with that transition.
No, I've actually never seen that one. Maybe I should. I heard that I shouldn't watch it. Is all I need to say.
It's not like good, but I think you might know what you're getting into if you just know about it, and if that's your thing, it's enjoyable.
All right, on a side topic, growing up, whenever somebody would tell me to go watch like Two Girls, One Cup or something like that, I would not have the curiosity to go home after middle school or whatever and go look it up. Like, what the fuck? You can't tell me about that and then like expect me to go do it. I can't put myself in harm's way in that sort of thing.
Damn, dude, I feel like it's like the opposite. Like you should be a middle schooler who's like you tell it doesn't matter how weirdly gross it is, that's just like you can't get it out of your mind at that point, that like you can sit all day. You're sitting in math class at the end of the day just like, damn, really? It's two girls, one cup, and they eat? What? I have to see this.
Yeah. What's the cup for? No, I guess my brain doesn't work that way, dude.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe I'm glad that it doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think that's fair. I think that's a good quality to have.
For sure. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, dude. Just chilling. Still in the pandemic. We're vibing to that right now. If that means anything to you.
I'm not too sure.
I don't think it means anything to me. It's just where it's
Dude, what's the weather like where you live? Because where I live, it's getting pretty hot over here. We're looking at like 80, sometimes 85 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, just the last week it started getting pretty nice, pretty warm out, I mean, it's SoCal, like this is what we expected. I think, when it was cool earlier in this year, it was kind of like, what the fuck is this? But I think it's supposed to be like 90 on Thursday or something for us. It's hot.
Dude, I think it's getting pretty crispy around here.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to talk about some League of Legends?
Yeah, dude, get me into the league. I don't know where we're at with this.
Okay, yeah,
the small talk
far and away from wherever that intro was.
How's the weather?
Yeah, and let's just get started with patch 11.7 preview, provided to us over on the Twitchers.
Heck yeah.
So a couple of things that I saw that are going to come up next patch are they're going to do some nerfs to Essence Reaver, Lord Doms, and Everfrost. I think all of those are pretty needed. They're really high value right now, especially Essence Reaver, where like it's like equivalent of a mythic item, but like way cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And then same for Everfrost. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, how like I was thinking the cooldown was way too short, and that's what they're going to be doing here. They're nerfing the cooldown by a bit.
Yep,
increasing it from 20 to 30 seconds. I think that's still fine and still like really usable, especially if it still goes down with like Ingenious Hunter or whatever.
Right.
But a lot of champions are super cool with that item right now, and I really dig it. So that's something that stood out to me. Anything else you might want to talk about in this patch?
I think the Trinity Force buffs are kind of interesting. That item's definitely like just fallen off the radar for a lot of the main users that did go it before. So I think it'd be nice to like have that back on its core users and not have them like not seeing Fioras with like shield bow and crit like for some random reason go back to like their nice bruiser items.
Yeah, I'm personally a lover of Trinity Force, so it's kind of a shame that it's not that good this season.
Yeah.
At least and when it first came out at the start of the season, I wasn't really digging it. I really liked Sunder instead for like most of those champions,
Yeah.
like Camille, Fiora, and even some other champions, Nidalee, of course.
Of course, yeah. That's what everybody did. Yeah, I don't know. I think some of the nerfs and buffs though too, like it seems like they're just hitting like we're getting a bit of a meta shift maybe, or they're trying to push for it. We're seeing Udyr, Hecarim, Rel, Kai'Sa, Tristana all show up on the nerf list. And then the buffs, we've got Kindred, Morty, Yasuo, Lissandra, Ashe and Varus, kind of shaking things up a little. Um, I don't know. I think seeing Ashe and Varus together in the buff list just gives me flashbacks to having to play like utility ADC duty for years. So maybe I'm not as excited about that, but good to see some changes coming through.
Yeah, I'm personally a dirty Varus player. I love to play that champion, and I love when he's good. It feels really good to like play those kind of like engage AD carries,
Yeah.
in my opinion, where like if I hit the ulti, my team knows to go
Right.
at any elo.
Right.
That it feels pretty good. Or even just having peeling tools for yourself always feels really good.
Yeah.
I really like the Lissandra buff as well. That's my little baby girl ever since season 3. So I'm happy to see a little buff.
Yeah, the fat 10 damage Q buff. You're popping off. I think you're already challenger on my screen with that buff.
Dude, honestly, like on some frog and shit, those kind of like numbers, it sometimes matters when you're like queuing and you need to like. It's the difference between the caster minions dying in 2 Qs over instead of 3 Qs.
Yeah.
Or something like that. At
Yeah,
like
that's
certain health intervals when you add in like dematerializer or something. Like
Yeah.
those kind of like numbers, it kind of matters at like certain item breakpoints. I don't know them, and I've actually never paid attention to that sort of thing.
but you'll feel it.
It's just
sometimes.
feeling.
Yeah.
It's feeling. Yeah, like whether you can kill caster minions with 1 Lux E or 1 Galio Q. Like it's really nice to hit those breakpoints. And like when the champion gets nerfed, you really feel it. That it's like, man, that sucks. Or like when you're like behind and you have to build like Merc treads instead of Sork boots. Like you'll feel it.
Yeah, that's true. Dude, on the topic of on being a Varus player yourself though, I feel like for me, Varus is like the perfect champ for me to turn my brain off. And I kind of hate him for the same reason, because it just seems like every time I play it, it's like actually almost boring. And it's not that like I do bad with him or don't know what to do with him, but I swear it's just like he's like somehow just a stat stick. Like you hit your Qs, you start to win the lane. You just like hit your ulti when they blow something or step out of position, and you can like insta pop everybody. Like he just does, like he has attack speed like out of his passive. He has a bunch of like percentage speed damage with his passive, like with his W procs, and then like just the W on hit. Like it just seems so, I don't know, like I'm almost bored just winning with him. Like even when he's good, even when I like to play him, it's still weird. I don't know. It's a weird champ for me.
I don't feel that way. Like I don't feel like I get bored. Actually, like I feel like I have fun when I play him, and I personally like to play like attack speed, like Bork, Gunsu's kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like to play lethality AD carry. Although I think it's like it can be good sometimes, but I prefer to play attack speed Varus. And it just feels really good to like have a really high attack speed, kite them out, drop your E every
true.
3 autos, and that sort of thing. So I like playing him in like the play style, I suppose, as opposed to like, let's say, well, yeah. So the thing is that like when I feel like when you play Varus attack speed, it just feels like a different version of Jinx to me in a way of like just autoing, and then like you get the buff when you kill somebody, and then like you attack faster, and then you're just dropping your skills in between.
Yeah.
So,
but then you're like more immobile, and then I feel like if anybody wants you dead, you die.
Yeah. I guess it's just like he just fought. What it is that I like about Varus is that he just plays like a standard AD carry, and I guess that's what I like about him, as opposed to like, let's say Draven or Jhin. Like they're just so different as like champions.
That's
relative
fair.
to the class, I suppose.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even MF, like I don't like MF, but like Varus, and it feels like how Varus is as an AD carry. It feels like that's what AD carry should be.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I think he definitely. I will give him credit. I think he has like some of the crispest like autos, like definitely of most ADCs.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think talking about lethality bears, I remembered one time I think it was like the LAN that we won at school. I remember, and I remember specifically this one game where we played against the guy who was the mid laner the year after us, like with Abdul's team, who was like the TF1 chick. Do you remember him?
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah, that guy's he loves the ganja. But yeah, go
oh,
on.
okay. I remember we played against his team, and that was like the first time like all tournament. It seemed like the way I remember it, it was like the first time in like weeks where like we somehow Varus like wasn't banned. That was like when it was like you just play like Varus, Caitlyn, Ashe, like the only 380 carries in the game. Um, and I remember Varus like didn't get banned, and that was like the one game where I was like, fine, we just have to play Varus here because like honestly that champ that was so boring to play Lethality Varus in that meta. I just remember, but I remember playing Lethality Varus because it was fucking OP and just like hard stomping that game with it. And I just like it was, and then afterwards I was like, yeah, I mean that's just what happens when you give away Varus. The champ is too good.
Uh-huh.
Just an aside.
That's funny. Actually, I have one specific memory from that same LAN where I remember our boy Jafar was playing Nautilus, and I remember telling him when we were going for an invade. I remember telling him as soon as you see some, and the thing is that like because we're all in the same room, I typed this out instead
Right.
of saying this out loud, and I typed out if you see somebody, immediately flash hook them, and and then he did it, and we killed somebody. That was
Nice,
pretty fun.
nice. Yeah, that was a good land. That was a fat dub.
It's a fat dub. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this patch. Oh, I was actually gonna call out the Kai'Sa nerf. I think it feels so bad when they do like really big nerfs to ulti cooldowns, and then like the level 6 cooldown for an ulti is just like it ends up being like over 2 minutes or some shit. So it feels really bad for skills like that, like Xayah ulti. I think even Lilia ulti is somewhere in that region now as well. Like
Yeah,
I just get kind of sad when these ultis get like super long, and then like yeah, I get that it's important and I get that it's really good for what it is. Like it's kind of unfair that you can like escape Jarvan ulti with Kai'Sa ulti and that sort of thing. But
sure. Yeah.
like having played her for so long, it just feels like so integral to her kit. And same thing with like Xayah ulti, of course. Where like yeah, I know it's kind of bullshit, but also like making it so like punishing to use it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I think it's I think it's kind of good to do early game because it's. I mean, it's like you said. It makes it definitely more punishing to use, and I feel like that's like if you use it badly, then that's a lot harder. It's like when you have like Shen or Karthus on your team, and then you fuck up the first Shen R, and then it's like, well, there goes 3 minutes of having any Shen pressure, right? Like that's important. And I mean, sure, it feels bad, but like you also shouldn't be able to just like Shen R every fight that happens in the bot side, like stuff like that. That's where it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, 20 seconds is that big for Kai'Sa, but like that's just like the difference between being able to R at the level 6 fight and then also be ready at the next dragon with the same thing and like have a full on team fight. I don't know. I think it's nice more than like already hitting like hitting damage numbers that they've already hit on like Q or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's also makes it more in line with like sometimes people think of League of Legends as like a turn-based game.
Hmm.
So it's like, oh, I choose this turn on my turn, I choose to attack Kai'Sa, and then Kai'Sa is either going to respond with flash or ulti. But if one of them is not available, then my attack goes through. Like it's kind of like that, where like
Yeah.
that sometimes the game feels in that sort of way where like it's just it feels like really it feels linear at times where like you're gonna do this and then that person has to do that or you expect them to do that, and then when that whether they buff or nerf something in a certain way, it changes that interaction or how often that interaction occurs. And so I guess it is interesting to think about it that way in terms of like when high level players they'll just hold on to their Kai'Sa ultis longer, and
Right.
we'll see like the extent to which they can get in or out of situations using their ulti or not.
Right.
And I get really impressed actually sometimes when I watch pro players hold their flash for like, the longest time.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel
I think
that.
it's really impressive because sometimes I would just like not necessarily panic ulti, but it's more like, well, why risk possibly getting like stun locked or even just like taking any damage in that scenario at all?
Right.
Just use the flash, and in that way, it's like, okay, they did this and they wanted your flash, so exchange the flash, and then the exchange is over. That's how it goes in my head.
Hmm.
But then like sometimes, yeah, watching pro players hold their flash, and it's incredible.
The ball is on those men.
And then recently, Riot dropped a preview for the next upcoming champion. They dropped like a video teaser and then also some gameplay teaser. I'll just get started right away. I think this champ looks really cool. They showed a lot of clips of her fighting in like top lane, so it looks like it's going to be more of like a top lane kind of bruiser.
Yeah, I think that's the plan that I've heard as well. Um, yeah, I don't know. She looks pretty cool. Like I think all her abilities like look neat. Maybe there's kind of a lot going on with the many scissors and needles and shit flying around the screen. But
Yeah, I would say I think it looks really cool. I think, like you said, I think the champion looks really cool, and whatever she does with her scissors seems really cool as well. It really reminds me of Orianna for some reason. Like I would think that she controls the scissors for some reason, but
yeah,
it probably doesn't work that way. And then it looks like she has some sort of like aura ability that kind of like slows around her, perhaps, or maybe she just
I think
takes.
it grants her CC immunity if I've read it correctly.
Oh, okay, yeah, because there's like a clip of her walking through a Maokai ulti, and you're
Mm.
like, what? So yeah, I could believe that that's the case. I wonder if that's like her ulti or something like that that gives her CC immunity.
Yeah, maybe. It does. You know what I thought was weird is that they've shown, and I'm trying to remember if they've done this for like most of the champs recently, but it seems weird that they showed gameplay without like the champ preview page where like you actually know what their abilities do. Because it seems like this has been like there's a lot of people going nuts over like yeah, oh my God, CC immunity or whatever like her abilities are doing, and it's like you don't know what they do. Like I feel like usually they have something there to just like even if it is bullshit, at least you know what the bullshit is, and it's not just people going like crazy and crazy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I just think it's a really good teaser in that sense. Like, oh, this is what she can do. Can you figure it out? Just from watching the video. So I think that's pretty cool, and I like the whole aesthetic and theme, I guess, that of like 1600s Gothic church kind of
Mm,
vibe. I don't know.
the old English talking.
I couldn't really like tell that actually.
I guess it's
Like
not old
from
English. It's just kind of like posh, posh.
yeah, more like posh. Yeah, it's more like high class, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I would. I think she's looking to be a top laner, but I wouldn't be surprised to see her mid lane. Just from the looks of it, I just get that feeling for no reason, actually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's one of those. I don't know. I'm not gonna go too crazy with any of that stuff. I still remember when Senna came out and people like, try to play Senna mid, like, oh yeah, it's broken, dude. Look at me just bully like this Kassadin dude is OP. Like, okay, yeah.
I think Samira was really good mid lane when she came
Oh
out.
yeah, that's true. Samira was definitely the one where everybody was like, you can play this everywhere.
Yeah, same thing with Kaisa. I remember when people used to try to play like Kaisa jungle and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But she was definitely overtuned back then.
that's true.
All right, let's get started with our picks of the week. Do you want to get started with this one, man?
Sure, dude. I think mine is not a particular champion, but maybe it's just like a couple champions. But if you've tried any like melee mages with Manamune, that's actually like kind of a neat build. Um, Silas is like my go-to ban. Like every game, I just do it without reason. But somebody, I think it was Leader, who's like a EU like Masters mid laner. Um, like he tweeted about it, and then somebody played it in LEC in their playoffs this past weekend, where you go like Everfrost, but you buy a tier early and then go Manamune second item. And if you're a melee champ, then you do like your spells and ability procs for Manamune do like more damage with the mana than if you're ranged. So any champs that like have a few, you hit a few rotations of your abilities and you weave autos into it, like play with Silas or Kassadin, or I think what's the other Echo? You could probably pull it off on too, where you just go like a mana item and a mana immune. early on, they like actually can work out pretty well and giving you like a high spike of damage as soon as you complete the mana immune, and still competing like on overall damage with like 6 item builds.
Dang, that sounds pretty crazy, actually. I know for sure that like the melee damage for Manamune is like so much stronger than the range damage, actually. So I could see that for somebody, especially like Silas, who like is encouraged to weave autos in between.
Yeah.
And even just like throw spells, and if the spells apply the Muramana damage, then that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they do. You just won't get like double procs off it. Like your Q won't apply it twice. It's just like one ability.
Right. All
Yeah,
right,
but
that
that's
sounds
it for
good,
me.
man.
Yeah, what do you got? What's your pick of the week?
Yeah, I'm gonna say for my pick of the week, I'm gonna go with Vigar because I got him in a game of ARAM the other day, and I decided to build Everfrost Cosmic Drive on him,
Yeah,
and I would say that those items are absolutely not fair right now for what they do. Like Everfrost, the cooldown is too short, the range is too good, and just being able to like
Cage,
it doesn't even feel like a skill shot sometimes. Yeah, like Everfrost or Cage, or even like either way, you'll lock somebody down and they'll be locked there for like 4 seconds. And on top of that, when you get Cosmic Drive, just offering way too much stats, on top of Vagar's already like scaling AP, there's just something about it doesn't feel fair, actually. And I feel like it would be really good either mid or support, just as long as you get to have like the.
I'm just gonna say, I picked this last week. I said support Vigar with Cosmic Drive.
Did you really?
I swear, yeah.
Dude, I don't remember that. I remember you picking Cho'Gath or something like that.
I was flaming my friend who plays top lane and just tries to tell me to pick Camille every week, and I was like, no, you get to play Cho'Gath. And then I said, no, instead of that, I'm actually picking support Vigar.
That's funny. But yeah, dude. So, damn. Now I feel like a thief. Actually.
Now he's so good that it's just a back-to-back pick of the week.
Yeah, the back-to-back. Yeah, dude. I remember one time somebody told me about Froggen playing Vagar middle with like Moby boots.
That was
and you just told
also
me.
You go Moby boots.
That was you, right?
Yeah, you went Moby boots and Lich Bane first, and he just fucking zoomed around the map to fucking one-shot people. That was hilarious.
Yeah, dude. So I like that kind of play style as well. I personally hate it when I play against Talons who do that, but then and Kiana's as well. But for some reason, it just seems better with Vagar.
He's so troll, dude. He's just this little purple thing that comes around and then drops a cage, one-shots you, walks away. It's too funny.
Dang, that's pretty lame, but yeah, that's gonna be my pick of the week because that's the one I had prepared.
Damn, sorry to steal the spotlight. I was wondering if I should just let you go with it and then be like, yeah, we'll see who likes who remembers. Maybe would generate some controversy in the comment sections that we have popping off on every episode.
Yeah, you'll just leave it under like an alt account.
Yeah, one of my burner.
Like, Raymund talked about this last week, you asshole. Damn, that's really funny because I totally didn't remember at all.
Nah, that's all
Goes
good.
to show what kind of friend I am.
Yeah, for real, dude. I see how it is. When we do this episode or we record this podcast, you just tune out whenever I start talking. Wait for your turn.
Imagine if that was the case where I just like twiddle my thumbs until you're done talking.
All right, let's keep it rolling. What do we got?
Yeah, keep it pushing. I guess I'm ready to talk about Wild Rift.
Yeah,
just came out on all the phones. I believe just yesterday. I think it's still in some sort of like open beta kind of form, but pretty much it's available to download all the app stores. Probably not the Amazon App Store, but iOS, Android, it's available now. I played a couple games and then I had a look around of like the store, the collection, and that sort of thing. I think, first of all, my initial thoughts is that game is really fucking beautiful, actually.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
When it comes to all the animations, the new splash arts, the little intro clips that they have representing every skin, and then just the character models for every champion in that game. Especially I played it. I looked at it on my phone and as well as like my iPad. It definitely seems to be higher resolution on my phone, so it looks way better there and vibrant.
Right.
And And I guess I don't know how much of a mobile gamer you are, but I kind of, after having played a game on my phone and then also on my iPad, I preferred to play it on my phone. Just something about it feels right in the hand, and I suppose like maybe something about the iPad, it's like having to reach over for certain things
Right.
with like a bigger like area of where all the controls are spread out. It's kind of tough, but and I think it for a phone it just feels a lot better.
Yeah, I can see that.
Um, but yeah, so I think I really like it. I don't think I'm gonna play it very much, and I'm kind of upset how much better Wild Rift is compared to like actual League in terms of like first of all their practice mode is way better, and especially because like in their practice mode you can just change champions on the fly without like having to exit the game or anything.
Yeah.
And then they have I love that they have tutorials for like so many different things. There's like actually 10 different tutorials, one for like just practicing targeting in those mechanics and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a break here. Have you given it a try at all?
I have. Yeah. No, actually, it came out. Well, it was available yesterday. I think like today was when it was supposed to be, but it like you could download it yesterday. So I tried it. I got it yesterday. Played through like the tutorial and stuff. Played a couple games, a few bot games. I played my first like actual like 5v5 PvP game today. And I just kind of I smurfed on some kids. It was definitely people who like didn't know what they were doing, and then we had like three people who did. But yeah, it's definitely pretty fun. I was surprised. I've like it's really similar. Like even though it's like obviously different controls with like the dual joystick kind of stuff. It's like still pretty similar, like fundamentals. Like I still know what I'm doing. I feel like I look like I know what I'm doing, even though I definitely am not used to like aiming everything yet. I played an Ezreal game where it was bad. Like how many abilities just went off the mark. Like
Uh
um,
huh.
so yeah, but like catch me on Malphite, that champ, I can pwn some noobs with it for sure.
Yeah, maybe I have to adjust some settings with regards to like sensitivity or something. But I feel like aiming in that game is really hard for me,
Yeah,
especially for hitting any skill shots, for even in like targeting minions. I feel like something is like it doesn't feel quite right. But there's a lot of like auto targeting in that game, which I
mm,
appreciate. But yeah, I think that game is really hard actually. Having when I tried to play like a game of Lux, and I think those kind of champions where it's like all skill shots.
hmm
I think the way that they implemented skill shots, it feels right, but they're just really hard to hit in my opinion.
yeah. I think some of it takes getting used to because I think for me, like what I think I noticed like near the end of playing that Ezreal game is like it's just hard. It's hard to like adjust to um like my aiming with my right thumb is like aiming with respect to where my character is and not I don't know how to explain it, but it's like it's not exactly like I click and drag like towards the person on my screen. It's like I have to click and drag like as if my right thumb was where my character was, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Like not where the enemy is on your screen, but
yeah,
like
yeah, so
to
it's
the top to the right of your character more
right.
so or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit of getting used to for that, but like definitely I played Graves in the PvP game that I played, and that actually like felt like really similar to playing normal Graves. Honestly, like I kind of like was still able to do like my auto cancel kind of stuff with E and like stuff like that. So I was kind of vibing with it. It's definitely kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know how much I'll play it. But I mean the games only take like 10 minutes. It's like not a bad thing to if you're just hanging around. Got 10 minutes to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I haven't played a PvP game yet, so I wasn't sure how long the games actually are.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I
it's
would
probably
say,
like more like 12. I think like our game ended fast, the one that I played, but
uh huh.
on average.
I would say that. Well, first of all, dude, I get like 20 ping when I play that game, and that it just feels beautiful. It feels right, and that some for some reason like I've played so many games lately where like I had higher than like standard ping.
And it's just terrible.
Yeah, it gets sad when like I have to play a game with like more than 80 ping or something like that.
hmm
And I wonder what it would feel like with lower ping. And so finally having this good ping again of like 20 to 30 ms, it makes me want to play Wild Rift. But at the same time, I view it as more like I don't know if I'll ever really get into it. Although like I already have a couple of friends on my playlist or friends list who will like I'm sure they would play with me or I could play with them if I wanted. But I just feel like it's more of like an Easter egg kind of thing where like there's real league and then like there's this thing off to the side where like all the stuff is like really similar. I feel like this is like Mobile Legends but just made by Riot or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I kind of see that. I think it's I don't know. I've been surprised at how much it still kind of feels like playing League.
Uh-huh.
And I think that like when I played Graves and I said like it feels like I played like Graves Jungle in a League game. Like I think a lot of that is really cool to be able to just transfer. Even if like you play Mobile Legends and there are obviously like character clones, like this is just like legit the same character, so a lot of that like learning curve you just don't have to deal with.
Yeah, I actually really like that as well. Like play like I could just pick up Lux and play Lux. Like that's actually really cool. In a way, I felt like I had a new player experience because
Mhm.
like the controls are so different. But at the same time, it was like, thank God I already know what Lux does because it would be fucking
Right,
terrible if I didn't.
right.
And there's a few changes here and there. Like for example, Lux ulti is global now. There's no
Right,
range to it,
right.
so it just goes across the map. And there's like little indicators where like if you aim Lux ulti, it'll show you on your mini map if you're gonna hit somebody. So
Mhm.
it's kind of cool. And then like sometimes if like for some skills for like Lux E, if you throw it and then you walk away from it, it'll show you like a little picture in picture
Mhm.
of your like where your E is, and then like until you blow it up. And then same thing, my friend told me about Pantheon as well, where if you ulti you at Pantheon, it'll show you up like a picture in picture of where you're gonna land, so that you'll know what it looks like by
Oh,
the time
okay.
you get there.
That's cool.
If like somebody's waiting for you to land or something like that.
Right.
So it's those kind of things that makes me wish like, dude, that game is Wild Rift is awesome. I don't know if it's my thing, and I hope that they bring a lot of those kind of little things to actual League of Legends. I don't know if they even can, since I heard that Wild Rift is built from scratch.
Yeah, it definitely is for the phone, for the mobile phone. And I think yeah, it's definitely hard. Like this is like this it's like you want this to be League of Legends too, But then
Right, right.
yeah, there's so many different things that happen with just like the phone ecosystem that makes it like impossible to, support like backwards compatibility through a bunch of generations. So like stuff like that like is gonna just it naturally lends itself to like, oh, Riot only has to care about like the last 2 or 3 years of phones, like making this like a viable app on those, and then they can do all kinds of crazy stuff with the modern like developing tools and that stuff that they can't do with PC League because they support, like Lenovo laptops from 2011.
Yeah, or even further from like '07 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I would say that the one game, actually no, both games that I played on my phone or on my iPad, my devices were heating up.
yeah.
So not like burning. Actually, my phone is getting pretty heated up. My iPhone 11 Pro, but my iPad wasn't. It didn't feel hot in my hands, but when I like touched it to my skin on purpose, I could feel that it was like really hot
Right,
actually.
right.
Even after just like one game. So I wonder what the battery life implications are like there, but it seems pretty cool. I don't know if I'll ever play it like on my own or anything. Maybe I'll just like keep dicking around in bots, but I'm kind of scared to go play a PvP game just because like skill shots are so hard. Maybe
Honestly,
I need
dude,
to go play like Pantheon or Xin Zhao or something.
I thought the same thing, but I think what you'll find is if you play PvP, there's gonna be you'll have a few people maybe that like have figured out what to do and like know what they're doing, but you're still gonna have the people who are like actual 12-year-olds who just got this on their PC or on their phone, and it's the first time they've ever interacted with League of Legends, and they're god awful at it, and so you'll be able to beat up on those guys.
Oh, that sounds so beautiful. I guess one last thing I have to say is I I feel like my game awareness in that game is really off. Like I don't think I could pay attention to the mini map or remember to word or that sort of thing while I play that game.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of true.
I think there's like also I think that the fog of war, it doesn't look dark to me for some reason. It looks like I have vision of that area already. So
Yeah, yeah, I can kind of see that too.
I don't know if there's some sort of like option I can change to like darken the area or something. But though they have a ton of options in there too. Where you can like change the behavior of how some things work and auto targeting and that sort of thing,
Oh yeah,
which is really cool. So I think I like the game. I like the concept. I don't know if I'll end up playing it too much or even like end up playing ranked or anything. And I'm kind of sad that like nothing carries over from actual League. Like all you get is your name, but you can't like connect your account and have your skins or anything. Like I think that's kind of lame.
yeah.
And even like the RP is different. So I don't know. it's cool. It's a cool little side project,
You say that
I
now, and
guess.
then 5 years from now, it's going to be Wild Rift World Championships, 17 million viewers, like everywhere, and then us little lol PC players are going to be like 20,000 people on Twitch, like just the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, the last of the purists. I
Hmm.
guess, and I don't know if that feels right to me. I I get when I look at how much better, how much more well implemented Wild Rift is. I could see this game being the future of League of Legends. Period. But I don't want it to be that way. I
Yeah.
just want the old League of Legends to be better, to be more like this. But you just play it with mouse and keyboard or
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah, just get a USB keyboard, dude. Plug it in. Stunt on some kids.
I'm actually totally down for I read an article that like alleged that Wild Rift is also going to come to consoles. So I
Oh,
I
that's
would
kind of
want to
interesting.
give it a try with like a controller to
Yeah,
see how that is.
that could be
I'm
cool.
kind of
That
down.
could be cool.
I'm down for that to give it a try. I don't know if it would feel right, but yeah, I'm down.
All right, dude. Let's talk about some real League of Legends. We're not Zoomers. We're not gonna be. I mean, we have phones, but we're not on our phones every day of the year, every day of the day, every minute of the day. Holy shit, right? So let's get into the real meat.
Alrighty, I mean, let's just go right into playoffs. There was some talk. There was like an interview from Perks last week where he was talking about how the LCS playoffs plays on a different patch from the rest of the world.
Hmm.
Especially because the LCS playoffs are on a different schedule from the rest of the world as well, where like the rest of the world started a week later so that they could play on patch 11.6, while LCS is going to play the entirety of the midseason showdown on patch 11.5.
Hmm.
And I guess it seems pretty crazy that they're going to keep playing on this patch for another 2 weeks, and then they're going to end up going to MSI like probably two, maybe even three patches behind of what they're going to play up there with the adjustments that they make on the current patch, and then the next patch that we just talked about for 11.7 probably.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just finish out my thoughts here. I guess that's pretty crazy and like kind of weird that they didn't, maybe like the teams or like the league officials didn't consider this beforehand. Like I don't understand why it is off or like why the schedule is different and that sort of thing. What about you? Do you have like anything to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think to some degree, like I agree with those points. Like it feels weird to be a patch behind for sure, and then like definitely, I think the biggest thing seems like when you play solo queue, like especially if it's been so long for LCS players to be playing on 11.5 still, and then they'll have 2 weeks from now even still to be playing on this patch, but then it'll be one or two for 3 or 4 weeks they'll have played solo queue on a patch different from that they practice on and play on. Like I get that. I don't know. To some degree, I think it probably doesn't matter that much. I think. I mean, I guess I'm not a. I've never been in this situation, so I can't say for sure that like I would play differently. Like on the patch, like on TR versus the just live patch. But I feel like there's probably some amount of like pros would complain about it either way. Like I think if you look at like because basically the difference is right, like you said, LCS started their playoffs a week later or a week earlier than the rest of the world, so everybody else is fitting their playoffs into 3 weeks. LCS went to 4 weeks, and then you get that way you get like you can wait for the next patch to drop basically. But I can also see where LCS teams, like if they had to play like I think the LEC schedule where they have like a losers, like there's, if you're in the losers bracket this week, I think you could win, or you could like win on Friday and then have to play on Sunday too, which I think people would also complain about, just like having to play multiple matches in the same weekend. Like, but I think people are just gonna complain about something anyway, like that's the way I kind of see it. So like they might, if they had done it, if the scheduling happened and they had no thought to the patches whatsoever, like this wasn't a deliberate trade-off and you could have avoided it, then they should have, I think. But I think there will always probably be something that pros can complain about in that regard.
Yeah, for my final thoughts on this is that it feels pretty bad that it happens to be like in between these patches, since there was like the little mini Zinzawe work on 11.6 and a couple changes to Volibear as well to like make him playable in jungle. So it sucks that they just have to like go for like this whole month or so without practicing those champs. And then
Yeah.
finally they get to go practice Jinzhao, see how that is, and an X number of compositions, whether or not it's even good with regards to pro play and um, um, and a viable pick. and
Yeah,
then they're just
that's
like
true.
behind on the mark for that compared to the rest of the world. And I guess that's only one team's problem. The team that ends up going to MSI, that's their problem. But I guess in that case, it feels pretty bad that the difference between these two patches is it's not just some number fixes here and there, but there's also like a couple small little reworks, and then maybe people need to brush up on their Akali skills. Maybe I've heard that there's like been a lot of Akali running around solo queue now ever since she got those changes in the last patch. So it sucks. Yeah, I agree with you. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's definitely, that's, I think, the biggest thing is just if, like, especially if things are obviously forced in and out of the meta with the patch change, then, like, having to, learn how to play with Volibear jungle again, or with a Kali mid when it's been nothing but control mages for 11 months or whatever, then I see the struggles. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they don't want this to ever happen again, then the Players Association needs to crack down on this behavior. There needs to be better scheduling around patches ahead of time. I don't know. I'm just going on a little mini rant, but I'm mostly kidding. But maybe that's the avenue that they can take for the future to make sure that these kind of logistic problems don't happen again, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, now to actually talk about the mid-season showdown now. We had, for this past weekend, the beginning of the losers bracket, starting off with Saturday, TSM versus EG. I caught these games, and the games ended up going 3-1 for TSM. Mm-hmm. What'd you think of the series as a whole, to start off with?
I thought it was pretty interesting. Both teams kind of looked like, I don't know, I think both teams played up to the day. There wasn't a ton of like, oh man, like TSM looks absolute ass, or EG is just, coin flipping away every game. It was an interesting, like, and competitive series. Even ending 3-1, it was definitely a series that probably should have gone to 5 games. But yeah, there was some interesting stuff, like Huni bringing out the Nocturne top in a couple of games. We saw more TP Ignite Camille too, Omega Lul. But like Volibear made appearances. Jizuke was playing Nico and Yone. It was interesting, I thought.
Yeah, I actually feel the same way. I felt like it was kind of cool to see like both teams be up and down in this series, where both teams getting their time to shine. Actually, that should have been my pick of the week this week, because I actually really enjoyed watching Jizuke play Nico with Everfrost in this series. When I watched it, it actually made me want to go play it. It seems really cool and like a better alternative, because I used to build the rocket belt on her so that you could like get really good ultis. But then my problem was that like people were flashing out of it. Right. So I think that like chain locking somebody with Everfrost and so then her
can't flash for 5 seconds.
Yeah, so exactly. I think that could be the solution that I was looking for all along. So I need to get some games in tonight before the patch. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I really like this whole series as a whole, and I think like you said, both teams showed up. Then they played mostly well. I would say 4 out of 5 gold stars for each team.
Yeah, I definitely think for either team, if they had, if either team had walked out of this with the dub, I don't think any of them would be, proud that like, oh yeah, now we're ready. Let's go take on Team Liquid and Cloud9 again, right? They'd be like, we got some stuff. We got some stuff to work on for sure.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think? You want to talk about any of the games in particular? You mentioned the Nocturne top that ended up in game 1 and game 3. That was pretty cool to see. I think it was kind of weird because there's not really like, I think game 1 he played Nocturne against Scion, and then game 3 he played it against Volibear. Mm-hmm. So not really much any kill pressure there, and they tried. They really tried
right.
in both those games. But yeah, I guess we'll just go start off with game 1 if you have anything to say. All these ARD carries, they keep bringing out the Tristana. It's whatever. I think they think that it's a good champ, but I don't think definitely was doing too hot on the Tristana. Yeah.
Definitely struggled a bit with it. Yeah. It wasn't Tactical's Malphite performances. It was a little bit more just like definitely Tristana. He made it his own L.
Yeah, dude, something about AD carries in Tristana. But the thing is, when Tactical does it, he does it, I wouldn't say gracefully, but he does it, the way that Tactical does it is an art form. Whereas
fair.
Definitely it's more like a wannabe, I suppose. Like a wannabe inter Malphite Tristana.
Yeah, that's fair. I could see that.
But the way Tactical does it, it's like, yeah, I would pay to go see that. Like, oh, there's going to be a match between TL and somebody else, and Tactical is going to play Tristana? Yeah,
okay, yeah,
I'll watch
go. Yeah. Give me tickets.
I'll watch that match.
Yeah, dude. Honestly,
So yeah,
I'm thinking back. I'm trying to remember like specifics out of these games, and then I'm looking at the comps from them, and I'm like, fuck, it's like the same thing every game. Lass is playing Zaya, Huni's playing Udyr, Speak is playing Udyr, Huni's playing Nocturne. Like it's all the same fucking game. Like, what do I remember? I remember definitely getting hooked in mid lane. I remember Jizuke getting exhausted every time he went in his own. I remember Jizuke also playing Nico and just fucking like, laying the law down. And then I remember the last team fight in the last game where definitely just like got headbutted out after he flashed in and couldn't do anything even though he was like 10 and 0.
right. Yeah, that was so tragic. Where like in that game four and in the bottom lane fight, you watch it and you're like, fuck, dude,
If
if
you're
you want to shine, that's the
yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Like that's your moment right there. And then like it's kind of weird as a spectator because like you don't know what the fog of war was like with all those bushes.
That's true. Yeah.
It's like,
It's still just tragic to watch
man,
happen.
if he managed to pop off there, like that would have been awesome. But
Uh-huh.
unfortunately, it was like the worst turn of events ended up happening with what he ended up doing,
Yeah,
which sucks.
I definitely feel that. That I thought what was interesting there, I don't know, and I think it's something worth shouting out is like I like walking into that fight, right? Like the setup, you just watch, and as a TSM fan especially, like you watch it and you're like, oh shit, they're gonna wipe. Oh shit, it's gonna go to game five. Oh fuck, this is over. And it's just like as it keeps going and they get like hunkered into the alcove, you're just like, damn, this looks bad. This looks bad. And then one by one, they just EG starts dying, and then definitely is like still the only one alive. He's 10 kills. He could kill everyone, and then they don't. And it's like, oh my god, how did we walk out of that one? But
Yeah,
it's
that's how I felt too.
yeah, but it's still it's like it's nice at least that they had the poise to take advantage of that because it's like it was definitely it's one of those where it's like that was definitely a losing position, right? Like a hard losing position, and they shouldn't have done it. And like you'd go and review and you'd say like, look, we should have even been here in the first place. We should have done this instead or something. But like they got there, and then EG made their own mistakes, and you capitalize off it and take the fight and the game. Like so that's good. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that as well. I think one last thing I have to say about this series is that I just now noticed, like looking at like an overview, is that like TSM ended up playing Udyr every game and EG ended up playing Lilia every game. I guess I didn't notice that they just handed over those picks and they're okay with that. And then also that TSM got blue side every game and EG kept electing for red side
Hmm.
whether they won or they lost. They kept having these kind of side selection choices. So I guess that's really interesting for me.
Yeah, I wonder. I feel like with the jungle stuff, it's kind of like you just you've got a couple things that you want to play, right? Like there's only so many junglers, and TSM just decided like, yeah, we've that if you're banning Udyr or you're banning Hecarim every game, then like okay, we want to play Udyr. Then between Udyr and Lilia, like those are the top ones, like, and they're just sticking with that. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
interesting. I feel like maybe TSM's played like because they did similar-ish in the TL series where I think they just go in and you're like they have one like ideal comp of like this is what we want to play this week, right? Like kind of, and they're building around that like a couple things they pick in isolation like against the enemy team maybe, but they're mostly like we're playing this style like overall. Um, so maybe that's just like part of a playoff strategy, right? Like they figure this is what we need to beat EG, right? Like Udyr, we have high tempo against Svenskeren in the early game, so Svenskeren and Jizuke can't do zany things by themselves, and then we can keep Impact down or something. Like you have those kind of game plans, and you're just like we'll stick to that. And then especially when you win every game, almost, like one game you lose and it's just a stomp, but then the other ones you're still in control. Like take those.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of cool to think about it that way too, where like they have one comp that they feel really comfortable with, and it's just a matter of like changing some pieces around that. So they start with like some sort of high tempo jungler like Udyr or Hecarim, and then they move around like, okay, that we can play these mid laners with that, or
Hmm.
we can play these kind of top laners with that. So yeah, I think that's kind of a good analysis and takeaway from seeing Spica play so much Udyr, not just in this series, but he kind of played it a lot in the TL series as well when they gave it over to him. And
Yeah,
like I said, they keep choosing blue side as well, so that seems to be something that they're sticking with on this patch.
yeah, that's true, and that's definitely something like I wonder, if like in their next series they'll have to play on red more or something like what. I guess looking at we'll get into it in a second. But looking at the 100 Thieves games, like they played on blue in 2 of their 3 as well. So like somebody's gonna have to pick on the red side. But that can definitely change up like what you go for, like and how you have to draft. So we'll see.
Okay, yeah, and then we can just transition right into the Sunday's match of 100 Thieves versus Dignitas. I will say that when I saw this match show up in my client, I was actually really hyped because I remember last week I was saying that I wasn't that excited about this match. And I was like, dude, it's just like, it's literally losers playing. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But then, like, when I saw it in the client for some reason, and they showed, like, a picture of I think it was Fake God and Huhi, for some reason, I was like, oh, shit. I feel like these teams are really close together. And I was like, all right, let's get it. I want to see how they do. I like, this is the, like, some people say LCS sucks, but this is the LCS I love, dude. So
right.
I wanted to watch that. And
this
then
is the Dig versus Renegades match that you want to watch.
Exactly. This is the fiesta I want to see. But then, yeah, I don't know why, but I ended up not watching it. But I was really hyped when I saw it in the client for some reason. So yeah, I mean, that's my confession. I didn't really watch the series. I listened to it, I'll tell you that. But yeah, 100 Thieves ended up taking this series 3-0. And it seemed to really go in their favor for pretty much every game, which is kind of a shame. But to my understanding, Someday popped off every game.
Yeah.
And from the looks of it, he played Nar for the first 2 and then Gragas on the last one. And I'm guessing that 100 Thieves is happy with Ryoma for now as well. So that's going to be my takeaways from this series. Do you have any thoughts for any of the games or the series?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. Like I think going into this, I was definitely expecting. I don't know if I was expecting more from Dignitas or like less from 100 Thieves. I think it's probably a little combination of both. Definitely someday definitely kind of showed his true form. I think in this game more than he has in the last few weeks. So it was good to see for that, and it definitely made things easier for 100 Thieves because of that. Like that's a big part of I think how they want to play is like having someday be a like strong tipping point for them. You know, give closer another lane to play off of because you're pretty sure I think that FBI and Huhi are good at laning and can win, even though Neo and Aframu have been good at that. But yeah, I think they just kind of all showed up this weekend. Maybe they were tired of getting Papa Smithy's belt or something, so they turned it on.
Yeah, I really like that. I don't have anything important to say, so if you have anything else, I might go off topic a little bit here.
I'll just give a shout out. I'll say good split for Dignitas. Definitely, even though this is them going out like at 5th, 6th, you know, I think that's not where a lot of people put them before the season started. So they definitely showed up, even if their last series was, you know, a little disappointing. It was a good split overall for these guys who are like a lot of rookies or newish faces, and then Aframu and Dardark who have kind of not had the best last couple of years. So good for them getting at least this far, putting up a fight.
Definitely agreed, and I think they're going to be happy with their regular season performance as well, even though maybe their first series best of 5 on I was going to say on stage, but it's not on stage. But anyways, their first best of 5 series, you know, they get to play one at least as opposed to FlyQuest or, you know, any of those other teams. So yeah. Agreed. I enjoyed how well they did, and I hope they can take a smile into the next season, and we'll see if their spring split record helps them get into the summer playoffs as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. I think I'm going to go a little off topic here. I would say that theoretically, if I was a script writer for the LCS, I'm going to ask you, would you rather have 100 Thieves win this game, or would you rather have Dignitas win this game and have the top 4 of Dignitas being the underdog, playing against like the big boy teams of TSM, TL, and C9? Or do you prefer it this way in reality, where like 100 Thieves is going to go in there and then you just have this feeling that like you don't think 100 Thieves is going to win against the top dogs? But if it was Dignitas, I don't think Dignitas would win either, but like that underdog story would feel like so much more powerful. I was just like brainstorming that for a second, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think if I'm the scriptwriter, I definitely would be more interested in the Dig winning version of this. But that might be, I think that's partly because I can tell how I feel after 100 Thieves won, and it's like I don't have a lot of faith in 100 Thieves. I don't really care if they win against the other teams, you know. Like I don't think they will, but I'm also like pulling for them. I feel like they've kind of like I don't know, they imploded a bit at the end of the season. They came into this match with low expectations, and it's like now that they've won it, I feel like I'm like, well, okay, way to go. It's not, you didn't do as bad as I thought you would do, so congrats. But I definitely feel like I would rather have seen like the Dignitas, who were the underdogs all season, who had a decent record anyway, despite that, and took games off top teams, and now they're going into playoffs, ready to prove that they're the real deal. I'd be more excited for that for sure.
Yeah. I would say that I do, in a way, I do like what the reality is. Like I said, I didn't really watch the games, and by didn't really, I mean at all. But, just looking at the score lines here and the match score, like straight up 3-0, and it seemed to be heavily favored in 100 Thieves in their favor in terms of like the match being one-sided for every game.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it's kind of cool that like, okay, we've got like the solid top 4, and TSM kind of struggled in their match while 100 Thieves, they looked at Dignitas, they're like, fuck out of my face, kid. And just 3-out them, and they're ready to move on. And so that's going to help us transition into the games for next week. I guess we'll start off next Sunday's game is going to be the lower bracket playing between TSM and TL. TSM and 100 Thieves. And I guess, having seen TSM not really struggle, but they had a good back and forth with EG, so they were able to show their good side. And then 100 Thieves were able to show, or at least put up a couple of good games for themselves and perhaps regain their confidence as a team and playing with Ryoma and that sort of thing. So I'm pretty excited for TSM versus 100 Thieves, even though I'll straight off out the bat, I'm rooting for TSM. Although I don't really know how the series is going to go, because it seems like TSM has their problems, or they have like one thing that they're really comfortable with, and then maybe other teams are starting to pick that apart. I'm not too sure, but I think I'm looking forward to this match, and I'm hoping that 100 Thieves can put up a fight after they barged through Dignitas this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think this should be a good series. Hopefully, at least. I don't know. I think TSM took both games off 100 Thieves during the regular split, right? Do you remember? I think look back. I see at least one. But if that means anything, then it should be. Yeah, I think they did. I think they won both. If that means anything, then you expect TSM definitely to have the upper hand here. I think it's hard for me to shake how 100 Thieves looked, in the weeks before this Dignitas match. Still, like even though they get a 3-0, and Dignitas isn't a slouch of a team. It's hard to tell, especially when games are, or when series are that one-sided. It's like the same thing we talked about with TSM being, like maybe they're going for one comp. If you're 100 Thieves and you go for one comp and you happen to beat Dignitas and whatever they're going for, right? And you obviously stomp them. If you just go, run it back and they keep drafting into it, then you're gonna, the 3-0 almost like isn't that surprising when they do just go for run backs on most of what they're doing. So it's hard for me to get like really hyped for like, yeah, this is 100 Thieves. This is the 100 Thieves we expected. They've finally come online, right? Like I think that might just be they had the stylistic edge or whatever it was, and they proved that they could be Dignitas, and they just did it back to back to back. So we'll see if they can do something different against TSM, or if it holds up against TSM. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to think yet for both these teams.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. I could see this series being a 3-0 for TSM. I'm hoping that it is, but at the same time, watching the way that they kind of like gave some games to EG in a sense, I could see 100 Thieves, if they get like a couple of things given to them by TSM, I could see them having, just taking a game, possibly even like half a game, but then TSM coming back and that sort of thing. So that's how I imagine this series going. Is I feel like TSM has got something that they're really comfortable with. And yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It's kind of like whether or not what one team is comfortable with, how that's going to match up with what the other team is comfortable with overall. And whether or not, hopefully I would prefer if teams could make some adjustments midway through a series.
Right,
but,
obviously.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's more so along the lines of like, okay, just run it back, and like maybe we'll change like this one thing, or we just won't do that one play again, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's really hard to have that. You have that mental of like, game one. You've spent the whole week prepping for game one, right? You feel like you probably know what's going to happen in game one, so you've planned your draft. You go into, you get what you want game one, and like just something goes wrong. Maybe you botch like a bot TP and it's a 4-0 and it's like, fuck, that game's lost. But then the next game, you can still do the same thing. Just this time we won't do the 4-0. And then it'll be fine. This is what we wanted, right? And then suddenly the same thing happens, or you just screw something else up, and then now you're down 2-0 and you're like, well, fuck guys, it's doomed.
Yeah, for sure. What about you? Do you have that? Do you want to call this series one way or another?
I think I'm gonna call it for TSM, and I don't know. I don't think it's as much of me being hopeful that it's just like as a TSM fan. I'm pretty sure like the way they lost games against EG is Jizuke going like pretty nuts and like them like playing well around some kind of oddball picks. But I don't think that Ryoma will do the same. I feel like Ryoma and Power Vivo are like the same player where they're gonna play Azir, they're gonna play Syndra, they're gonna play Orianna. Like there's nothing different about that for the three of them or for the two of them. So I don't think you have that same X factor for 100 Thieves like in the matchup, and I don't think that Someday is gonna be able to bully Huni like he did Fake God probably. If Huni's got his head on his shoulders and his mouse plugged in. I think that's gonna not be the same kind of matchup. So if 100 Thieves leans on the same thing happening that they had happen this weekend, I don't think they'll be able to take down TSM. So I'll say TSM 3-0 too.
Yeah, I'm with you with all those points. Okay, and then we'll backtrack a little bit. So that's going to be next Sunday's game of TSM versus 100 Thieves, and then next Saturday's game is going to be the winners bracket. Upper side of C9 versus TL. So, of course, I'm double excited about this one. It's going to be the two teams that pretty much handily handled their opponents in the first matches of the midseason showdown, and then now they get to face each other. Mm-hmm. And previously, I did look it up. So TL did 2-0 C9 during their regular split, once at week 3 and then again in week 5, even during those times when TL was looking kind of shaky for some reason here or there. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this series. I'm wondering what C9 is going to pull out and what TL is going to pull out, because I think TL pulled out some really cool picks with Jensen on the Ahri and that sort of thing. So I wonder if he's going to draw any bans with regards to all of the wacky mid lane picks he has from Ahri, Sylas, maybe even Veigar, or just back to standard like Orianna, Syndra, and those kind of things. And then for the jungle matchup, I think I'm really excited to see Blabber. I'm thinking that he's going to draw a lot of jungle bans the way that Spica has been drawing Hecarim bans, and then but then Blabber's still going to end up on something that he's comfortable with, or we'll see if he ends up pulling out something else as well. I am interested to see another series where Fudge has to match up against Alphari. I don't know why I'm like tripping over myself right now. But yeah, I'm excited to see where Fudge, if Fudge can redeem himself in this series after what happened to him in Lock-In, where he had to play like Someday and then Alphari back to back and back to back series. So we'll get to see how that matches up.
But yeah,
he did beat Someday. Yeah.
It'll be interesting for sure. I think I like a lot of the points you said. Just about the Fudge Alphari matchup. That's a big one. Blabber, the ever looming MVP. Seeing what he can do against the other ever looming MVP candidate, Alphari. As just the teams matching up. And then I wonder what you said about like Jensen's champ pool. He's pulled out a couple things that are probably the first times we've seen, the Ahri, the Sylas, and LCS. I wonder how that'll work into Perks, though, because I feel like Perks isn't going to be the guy that doesn't know what to do against his champs or doesn't have something else prepared, right? Like he's not going to pick Syndra and think, oh, Jensen won't pick Echo here, or Jensen won't pick, Ahri here. Like, so I'm not going to have to worry about it. I'll be fine with the Syndra. Like, he'll pick Syndra and know, like, if he picks that champ, I'm going to, smash him. Like, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I think he might, but I think they'll probably both be holding counterpick for those picks. Maybe Alphari wants counterpick, so Jensen's gonna be stuck more on just like playing Everfrost Ahri duty and hoping Perks doesn't manhandle him.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you brought up Perks, because I think I listened to the Crackdown just the other day, and they were talking about how like the midseason showdown, that's where we're really gonna see like fuck the spring split, but the playoffs is where we're really gonna see like if Perks was worth it to bring over to NA, if he's gonna show what he had in G2 and maybe the philosophies that he had there, the tactics, the play style, and then like just the mentality of like knowing when to practice and knowing when to peak in your skill and when to really push yourself and when to get your team on schedule. and making sure that you're all together and getting good practice up to when it really matters. This is when we're going to see that. And we already saw them handle 100 Thieves, and then now they get to play TL. So this is another chance where we get to see, like, is Perks the real deal? And I'm pretty excited for that too when you think about it that way. And then one last thing that I have to say is that, like, it's kind of funny that you can consider Jizuke like an X factor for EG. And I'm wondering if you think the same way of Tactical in TL. Like, is he the X factor? Like, you don't know what that guy's gonna do. He might pop off.
I think it's different. I think Jizuke is the X factor in that he's got 4 other guys on his team who like might not go crazy in the game, but they're also probably not going to hard carry if you don't go crazy, right? Like I think TL, you look at that team, and if Tactical was just like, you know, AI like Siverbot like plugged into Corey JJ's lane, they probably still do okay, and you can still count on like Jensen Centaur and Alfari to carry the top side of the map, and you can still win the game, right? But I think on EG, if you have Jizuke in the mid lane not like, you know, absolutely coin flipping the game, and it's instead just instead you put, you know, some random bot champion into the mid lane, EG just probably loses every single game. Like like Impact might do good, Ignore might make some good plays, you know, they'll have some cheeky roams, but EG's not going to do anything as a team to like shore up like Perks running over the mid lane, you know, and going 10-0 against the bot champion. Like it's just going to be, you know, a lost game from the start. But I think if you have Jizuke in there, you know, he can flip it on its head, and you know, he might still go 0-10, he might still feed the guy, but then in the other games he's going to stomp him, and then he's going to stop your top side, and then he's going to steal all your jungle, and then he's going to, you know, rise ulti into your base and take everything. So I think that's what Jizuke does differently than tactical inting and coin flipping on Malphite.
Okay, yeah. I will say that, like, if Tactical is a coin, though, I want to see what he's going to roll or flip on this weekend, because
that's true.
I'm actually excited. Like, dude, he's been playing kind of funny lately, but then he won the TSM series, and then he was able to have some pop-off moments of his own as well. So I'm actually really looking forward to how TL's bot lane is going to end up playing this weekend, and then knowing that they'll have a matchup against a really strong opponent as well. I think across the board, I'm really hyped for this match, and I think let's jump into predictions here.
Yeah, go for it. You got it? You need a second?
Yeah, well, for some reason I forgot that you can't see me think. I mean, no particular reason, but I'm just going to go, I think that TL is going to win here. I would say if I had to call the series one way, it would go 3-1 for TL, but there's like no particular reason. If anything, I could see that they're going to have a really good top lane prioritization and advantage, just given through Alfari versus Fudge, if anything. So that's the only reason I can give, is that I think that C9, not that they have a weakness there, but that TL has a strength there, and the strength will just overpower like the neutralness of Fudge in a way.
Okay.
So that's going to be my take there. What about you, man?
I think I'm going to go 3-2 C9. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that I have a like super powerful reason either. But I'm thinking that Fudge has played enough like hard weak side to hopefully be able to deal with Alfari, and at least enough games that he won't like outright lose from the top side. You know, I mean, he might lose lane or whatever, but I think that he's also the kind of guy who's like, they've played like the Karma tops, you know, and that kind of stuff, where I think he won't be, I think we won't be surprised to see him on those same kind of champs, like supportive champs, and just buff up a Sven who has a big lead out of the bottom lane because Tactical's jumping in, or, you know, or Perks playing Yone or something like that can just take the bulk of the carry weight off of his shoulders. So I don't know. I think it should be close. You know, we've still seen TL not look their best yet, I think. Obviously their series win against TSM was good, and better than what we saw probably for the last few weeks of the regular season. But I don't think that we've seen their best yet. So if they show up with their best, I could definitely see TL taking the series. But even still, C9 has looked pretty good, pretty consistent now that they've gotten back on track in playoffs. So that's what I think. I think it's just going to be C9 3-2.
Okay, I think that's really good that we're on opposite sides here.
We'll have something to go on. I don't know. We're not putting money on it, but just the honor of it all.
Or maybe we should. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, that's going to be it for episode 9 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on the service that you are listening to us on if you haven't already subscribed. We'd appreciate it if you also give us a rating or hit the like button to show us some support as well. You can find us on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify and so forth. We'll see you all next week for another episode of On the Hunt.
Thanks everyone for listening.